play Potion Explosion. So this is a very, I would say, very light game. It almost reminded me, when I first got introduced to this game, it definitely reminded me of some of the online apps, like the bubble apps or whatever.
A little bit, yeah. Kind of like Bejeweled.
Yeah, there's something about it that that did
Bubble
that.
Pop or whatever.
Yeah. So.
Hey, Walter.
I guess Walter wanted to join us today. Can you say hi? Yeah. So it is a very light theme. Basically, you'd have different flasks of the different colors, and each color has its own different unique power. So once you complete the potion, you have the option to use it. So and each, well, that's going more into gameplay, but the overarching theme is basically you're a potion master and you're trying to make different potions.
An alchemist.
An alchemist.
Yeah.
I'm more of like Harry Potter, potion master. So moving on to quality of pieces. You know, the marbles are excellent quality. I think the cardboard's okay.
You think so? There are quite a few marbles that they look cool. I like the colors, but there's quite a few marbles that are in really bad shape. And just for example, look at that one. I mean, they're all. There's quite a few that are damaged.
Oh.
I mean, is it? I mean, it's not unplayably so, but there's quite a few, and they even package extra marbles in case some of them are damaged, so you can replace them. And like my copy's got quite a few.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So I guess I mean, it would have been fine if they actually did them right, I guess. Then.
Well, I mean, but like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but the marbles aren't like super excellent quality.
Well, I mean, I just think you don't get a lot of marbles in a lot of
You really don't.
So, I mean, in that instance, it's kind of unique.
But this is the centerpiece of the game, no matter what.
It really is.
And even though it's a little bit of a pain in the butt to put together, because it can come apart quite easily, but you store it in the box this way as well. But it's got awesome table presence.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it first came out, it kind of blew everybody away, just how cool this game was.
It looks really cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I do feel like the cardboard's not the greatest.
It's not the cardboard's not the highest quality.
I mean, it has a good presence.
It's okay quality.
It's okay. So what's the price on this?
The price on MSRP is actually $49.99. Again, you can go to certain websites and get it a little bit cheaper. But this is the original first edition printing. They're up to the second edition printing. So it's went out of print. So you may find it a little bit more expensive on some of the other websites if you can't easily find it like in your friendly local game store.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, let's give it a score. 7? You have any? How do you feel about a 7?
I think a 7's good because I think this is really awesome and it kind of balances out maybe the poor cardboard quality.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm like with hope it's 7 just because it looks pretty. But
I think a 7's a good score.
So
I do.
So moving on to theme, I think the theme is actually pretty cool about making different potions. This is a lighter game, so keep that in mind. And I think the theme kind of fits.
No, I think it's very thematic because the core is part of the gameplay, but the core element of the game is the exploding ingredients, and so it's very tactile. So you feel the marbles in your hand, and it's cool them bumping together and getting all these extra marbles potentially. It's thematically, it's awesome. It's really good.
Yeah. So, give it a score though.
I'd give it an 8.
Yeah, I think 8's good for this game. I mean, it's so much fun, and I enjoy it, and I love the mad scientist. I love the mad scientist on the board. So, moving on to rules. Actually, I think I mostly learned on the app.
The app is fantastic for this game, by the way. Really good implementation. But the rule book itself, I mean, there's one full page of just how to put the doohickey together, whatever this thing is called, the chest marbles or whatever. But the rest of it is very simple. The majority of the rule book is about the potions. Like, what does each of the individual potions do? Because mechanically, it's such a simple game. So the rule book is great. I think it does a good job. It would have been, I think my only complaint is that they would have had multiple copies of the cheat sheet. So then that way people wouldn't have to share the rule book.
Yeah.
That would have been kind of nice. And I know on Board Game Geek, you can download a file or take a picture with your phone or something. That's what I've seen done before too.
Yeah.
So that's, I think if I had to have a gripe, that would be a gripe.
Yeah, I think it had. Well, and honestly though, like I've played so much on the phone, I know what most of the symbols mean. But there was still one I didn't know, like offhandly. I was like, what was that one again?
And you don't play with all the potions. There's a total of 8 potions, and you only keep 6.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little variety there too.
Yeah. So, did you give this score?
I did. I said, what, the rulebook? I'd say an 8.
8.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a huge gripe, but I did wish that there was multiple copies of what the potions.
Yeah, I'm down with that. So moving on to gameplay. The gameplay is actually pretty simple. So basically, you take one marble out, and if it explodes, which is the same color touching where you remove,
yep.
Then you get all of those, and you stop when. So like I took all the red because it touched, but now a yellow and blue touch, so obviously it's no longer necessary. So then I take these marbles and I place them on the potions that I have, and eventually I fill up the potions, and as I complete them, they all have special abilities. So once I can complete them, they're open for me to be able to use with those special abilities. And I think that's pretty much the game.
And they all have various different abilities. There's a little bit of take that. So there we play with the potion that allows you to steal your opponent's ingredients in their little beaker. But for the most part, there's not as much interaction with each other. So you're playing your own game, and I guess that would be a little bit of a gripe on the gameplay wise, is that you can zone out when it's not your turn, because this is going to change dramatically when it's your turn. So you do not have to pay attention to that when it's not your turn.
And I think you can be a little vindictive when you play this game, because you can play to screw other people up.
Absolutely.
Like when I play with Randy, I want to try to fork at him.
And that's only natural. That's only natural.
So, I mean, I totally get that. Like, and the thing is you want to make the best choice, and I find myself, it's like, oh, Miranda, hurry it up. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I want to make sure, because, you have the ability, so you can get -2 victory points to pick another ball, but you don't get the explosions from that ball that you picked, which can set you up for some things. So you're just like, okay, well, do I take the -2 victory points? Which a lot of rounds I do, because
you might be able to complete an 11-point potion with a -2 thing.
Yeah, and it opens you up. I mean, you want to get these potions out as quickly as possible, because if you get 3 of a kind, you get 4 more victory points, or if you get 4 different ones, you get 4 more victory points because of these medals. Like, so it's really about getting these potions out as fast as possible. And to take that -2 penalty hit, totally worth it.
And then, as Miranda mentioned, you get these medals. So that's the in-game condition. Is based off of player count, you'll have a certain number of these ribbons. And once all the ribbons have been gotten by the players, game over, even number of turns. And there's only 2 ways to get a ribbon. You either get 3 of the one kind or 4 unique ones, but they can't overlap. So you can't have one of this 3 of a kind also being one of the 4 unique ones to be able to get 2 different ribbons.
So I think overall though, what would you give this game? Because it is a pretty straightforward game.
Overall, I'm going to. So I always take a step back to consider the game for what it really is. I'm not comparing it to some big, major, deep game. This is not that. So for what this game is and how much fun I've had over the years and love teaching it to newbies, it's a 9.
Oh, really?
It's a great game. It's a great introductory game. And it's got cool table presence. Just overall, for what the game is at the level it is, it's a 9.
Yeah, and I will say, so Sarah was able, the 7-year-old, was able to play this just fine. Having her just pick one, I mean, it got a little touch and go at the very beginning. But she plays the app too, but the app doesn't let you cheat. Like, doesn't let you not follow the rules.
As long as you follow the steps, it's very clear cut on how the game goes. It's just if you try to get ahead of yourself a little bit, is where you can kind of fudge stuff up a little bit.
Yeah, I part of me is like, oh, it's probably an 8, but you know how much I play this game on the app. Like, I'm like,
I used to play this every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good soothing game. So I'll give it an 8.5. I don't think it's a 9, but I don't think it's,
even though for what it is.
I mean, that's just it. It's like, well, I'm also like, other intro games, are there some I want to play more?
Because see, I think this is just as fun as, let's say, Splendor. I think it's just as good as Splendor. Splendor is a great game. I think it's just as good as Sagrada. They're all different, but they're all fun in their own way.
See, I wouldn't put that in the league of Azul.
Not Azul, I think Azul's a little bit more deeper.
I think Azul's
than,
more of a 10 for this grouping.
And then versus
like Splendor being a 9.
I think Splendor is on the same level as this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna still stick with an 8.5.
Okay.
I think I'm still there. I still think it's great, but I still think I would rather play Splendor.
Okay.
But I will admit I played this more on the app than I do Splendor. So
although I like the Splendor app better only because of the variety of the different things you can do, because the campaign elements of Splendor is a lot of fun.
So no matter what, this is still a good game.
It's a great game.
It's a great game.
Highly recommended.
Yeah, if you got a lot of intro players, this is fantastic.
And one of the cool neat things too, if we didn't mention it, this is actually a cool mini or not, or come on as they say now, CMON back in the day. But this was one of the very first non-miniature based board games that they made, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had a blast, and hopefully you can join us again. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We would love to have you. I think what's next up? We don't know.
It's Randy's pick.
It's Randy's pick.
As far as an order that we're playing right now.
Yeah. So
who knows?
Harass Randy in the comments saying what we should play. So thank you guys. Bye.